Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle something that can seem a little weird at first. Negative numbers. I mean, what does it even mean to have less than nothing? Well, you might be surprised to find out the answer is literally all around you, every single day. So let's dive in. So let's just start with that big question, the one that sounds like a riddle. What can actually be less than nothing? It feels kind of impossible, doesn't it? But believe it or not, the answer is the key to this whole thing. And the answer to that riddle, it all starts with this number right here, 0. I want you to think of 0 as our anchor. It's our home base, the universal starting line where everything else gets measured from. To really get our bearings, let's map this all out on a simple flat line. This is what we call the number line, and it's basically our guide for understanding how all numbers relate to each other. Okay, so if we start at our home base, 0, and we take a step to the right, we're heading into positive territory, +1, +2, +3, and on and on. This direction always means more, or a gain, or an increase. But what if we go the other way, right? If we move to the left of our starting point, of 0, we step into the world of negative numbers, -1, -2, -3. This direction represents the total opposite idea, less, a loss, or a decrease. So you see, we've got these two perfectly opposing ideas. More versus less, gain versus loss. Positive and negative numbers are just perfect mirror images of each other, and they're balanced perfectly on either side of our main hero, 0. All right, so we've got our flat horizontal line down. But what happens if we just change our perspective a little bit? Let's take that exact same line and flip it so it's standing straight up vertically. And guess what? The rules are exactly the same. We just changed the orientation. Moving up from 0 is positive, and moving down from 0 is negative. Kind of like climbing up a ladder from the ground or heading down into a basement. So why does any of this actually matter? Well, because this isn't just some abstract math idea. You see this and you use this concept all the time. Let's look at a few examples from your everyday life. First up, temperature. This is maybe the most perfect real-world example of our vertical number line. When the temperature is above 0, it's positive, and we call it warm. But when it drops below 0, it becomes negative, and we definitely call that freezing cold. And you can feel the difference, right? A +20-degree day means you're enjoying the sun. A -5-degree day means you're seeing your breath in the air. Both of them are just measurements moving in opposite directions from that 0-degree starting point. Here's another one we all get, money. If you've got money in your wallet or your bank account, that's a positive amount. But if you owe someone money, a debt or a loan, that's a negative amount. You are literally below 0 until you pay it off. Think about it. Having $50 in your pocket, yeah, that feels pretty positive. But owing a friend $10 means you're sitting at -10 until you pay them back. It's the exact same concept. One is a gain, the other is a loss from that neutral starting point. For our last example, let's just imagine stepping into an elevator. The ground floor where you walk in, that's our 0. Any floor you go up to is a positive number, and any floor you go down to, like the parking garage, is a negative number. So when you push the button for the 3rd floor, you're telling the elevator you want to move in a positive direction, +3 floors from the ground. And pushing the button for the parking garage, that's moving in a negative direction to floor -1. So are you seeing the pattern here? Whether we're talking about temperature or money or floors in a building, every single time, all we're really talking about is a direction and a distance from our starting point, 0. All right, so after looking at all these examples, what's the core rule here? What's the main takeaway? Well, everything we've just talked about can be boiled down into one super simple guy. It honestly just comes down to these two simple rules of direction. On a flat line, going right is positive and going left is negative. And on a vertical line, going up is positive and going down is negative. That's it. That's the whole system. So if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Positive and negative numbers are not strange or complicated. They are simply directions from 0. So now that we understand the map, right? We know our way around. A brand new question pops up. What happens when we actually start moving along that number line? Well, that's where things get really interesting, and that is exactly what we are going to explore next time. Thanks for hanging out with me.